I put my trust in you, and I trust in our love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love. I put my trust in you, and I trust in our love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love.
Hello, friends. My name is Dave Miller.
And I'm Niall Spain. And we're your Pillow Talk.
And we are a sex and dating advice podcast where we take your sticky, sexy situations and turn them into sexy, sticky situations.
This is our secret behind the velvet rope, under the red carpet, down the velvet tunnel podcast that is available only to the coolest of the cool, the nicest of the nice, sexiest of the sexy. It's you. It's the people that support this show. Thank you. We love you.
I don't like the phrase velvet tunnel. That sounds like something you'd read in bad sex writing.
Well, why did you put velvet in the tunnel, Dane?
I just thought it was classy.
Yeah, but like you can't have me not read it. Like it's in the notes. It's in the show notes, and it is a factual thing because it's in real life. So it feels weird for me if I don't read that out and someone gets there and they touch the edge of the tunnel and it's got that wet velvet that you specifically staple gunned to the tunnel. They're going to be like, wait, if there was wet velvet in the tunnel, they would have mentioned it. And then they might leave and not get to this episode. Which so far might not be a loss for them.
I don't know if they would, because like if someone said, oh, here's how you get to the train station, it's down the street, then you go underground, and they don't say like you walk through the cement and concrete tunnel.
You're right, but the thing is, tunnels are meant to be cement and concrete. They're not meant to
Says
be
who?
velvet.
Says who?
Says you. Says you. You just said you don't like velvet, but you do like concrete.
No, I said I don't like when you say the phrase velvet tunnel.
You know
That's
what?
what
All this talking about fabric has given me an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, what if we get a tunnel business?
Ooh.
Right? We make tunnels. We put them with velvet or whatever fabric. But the thing is, that could be scary. So maybe you'll need some kind of something to like keep you company while you walk down them.
Yeah, like a buddy of some sort.
Oh, whoa. What if you need to sleep?
It could be a really long tunnel.
Yeah.
So like it would be good if you could like double the buddy that you had as like some sort
with
of
a blanket.
Or like some sort of sleeping apparatus.
Sleeping bag?
Yeah,
bed.
Maybe.
Bed post,
like,
bed frame.
Chances are you have clothes, right? So you could use your clothes or your coat or whatever as your blanket, but like you need something soft to rest your head.
What if there's someone in the tunnel you don't like, but you don't want to leave much evidence behind and you kind of want to suffocate them while they're sleeping?
I can't think of a better murder weapon than a pillow.
Pillow buddy, we've done it.
Okay, let's get into the show. And usually we talk about, like, here's what we're going to talk about. And I say usually, I mean, like, we started this a couple months ago.
Years ago, because we're smart podcast boys.
We're very good podcasters. But we talked about something this week on the show. I haven't stopped thinking about it.
Tony Pizza, man.
I haven't stopped. Tony Pizza is in my life. And I did have pizza last night for dinner.
I've been craving pizza, and
it just made it worse for me.
Okay. Well, I haven't had pizza, so
I don't mean like the pizza was delicious. I just mean that like the amount that I'm thinking about Tony Pizza has drastically increased. And to be fair, some people might say, hey, you spent a lot of time talking about Tony Pizza on the last episode. I would argue.
But most people would say, wow, incredible restraint. And also you didn't spend enough time talking about Tony Pizza.
Exactly what I feel. I feel like maybe perhaps Tony Pizza didn't get enough time. And we didn't get enough time with him.
Do you think his full name is Anthony Pizza?
It's got to be.
Okay. Well, could be like Tony Bald.
Tonabald?
Tonabald Pizza?
Tonison?
Tennyson? Short Tennyson Pizza?
Hell yeah. I was thinking about Tony Pizza a lot. And I was thinking about like his day-to-day life, his hopes, his dreams.
Yeah.
Because we talked about how Tony Pizza, at least how I thought Tony Pizza was, almost like a sentient pizza man. He was made of pizza.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about like, because pizza's flat, typically.
Yeah. You know he got that thick stuffed crust, though.
That's what I'm thinking. Like
bulbous.
I was trying to
gooey crust
to picture, right? to envision what he looked like. And I kept going into like a flat, almost like Parappa the Rappa style, like Pizza Man. But I don't know
what
if
word did you just say?
Parappa the Rappa?
Whomst to be that?
Parappa the Rappa was a PlayStation 1 video game in which you played a puppy who was on a quest to become an incredible rapper. And he went through, like, every stage was a new person teaching him rap. But, like, they weren't all rap. No, they were kind of. I don't know. And it was like the first level was you were in like a karate dojo with like an Onion Man.
Classic.
And
yes.
his like
Wait,
whole rap
he was a
like
puppy.
Parappa the Rappa was a dog, yes.
Okay. So in my head, it's just a pizza slice, crust at the top, point at the bottom. He's got like arms and legs. He is pepperoni.
Yeah, he's a pepperoni pizza. Yeah, he's a classic man.
Yeah.
You know that song? He's a classic,
I'm a classic man.
Yeah.
Pepperoni on top and a big stuffed crust. He's a classic man.
That song was written about Tony Pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
See, in my mind,
Wait,
he's
he's
like
he's a classic pan because there's a pan pizza.
Yeah. In my mind, it's like someone traced out a man of pizza. Right? Like it's like you and I laid down on a giant pizza and then someone took one of those big roly pizza boys and traced us.
That's scary.
Okay.
I don't like that. That's terrifying, right? And I don't think Tony Pizza would strike fear into the hearts of children.
No,
unless it's like an evolutionary defense mechanism that these pizza people have developed to stop our young from just eating them on sight.
Yeah, just going to fucking town on them.
Because Tony Pizza would not reach his levels of being a classic man if he was munched by a toddler in his early formative years.
And Tony Pizza would never strike a child either. Right? Like if a kid started eating him.
If they deserved it.
Tony Pizza is a conservative, old school parent.
No. He's never conservative. He's liberal as they come.
I think maybe Tony Pizza transcends politics. Maybe he doesn't understand our mortal ways. Maybe he's just there.
Mm-hmm.
He knows
pizza politics are very different. It's all about pineapple.
It's all about like balance for them, right? Like figuring out the proper topping combinations to maintain balance. And
but
pineapple
also,
is definitely a divisive topic.
I imagine they're pretty open because like nobody wants a pizza world with just pepperoni. And I very much don't. Pepperoni to me is mid. So, like, I feel like they're very open. You know, they're going to be like, hey, you want ham and mushrooms? Yeah. You want green peppers? That's cool. Tandoori chicken? Fuck yeah. Like, they're probably much better than us.
Sure.
Try it out.
Figure it out. Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's like the Tony Pizza motto, right? It's like, try it out. See what you like.
Yeah. Hey,
try
do it. If it's good for you, maybe it's good for me.
It could be good. And if it's not, then you don't have to do it again. But now you know.
Exactly.
Right? Like it's all about
it's not
learning.
Good for me. Doesn't fucking matter if it's good for you.
Yeah.
Damn, Tony Pizza.
Tony Pizza, there's a lot to learn here from both him and...
inspires me on the daily, really.
I mean, this was a tough week, right? Like, we had a lot going on. It was a busy weekend at work. We had a show on Sunday. I had a move going on, and it was just busy. And it's been busy, and it's not going to slow down.
I think we're going to be busy up until, like, April minimum. And then it's like, is April going to be chill? We don't know. We're not in the April hole yet.
Yeah, it's like, the next little bit. It's like, we got a live show next week. Then I think there's sort of like a bridge as we prepare for Comic-Con. And then we've got Comic-Con and St. Patrick's Day. That's what I mean. It's like
a week isn't much of a bridge.
I'll take the bridge because I'm
moving, so I ain't got no bridge.
It's just like, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, y'all. And you know what that glowing beacon of hope at the end of the road is?
Tony Pizza.
And when you move, what do you get? What does everyone get when you move?
Yeah, my good friends David Beer and Tony Pizza.
Yes. Everyone, like, it's a universal thing where it's like, oh, you've moved? We're getting pizza. Hell yeah, let's go.
Maybe there's a cool pizza spot in my new neighborhood. That would be great.
Yeah. I was about to list some places and I was like, oh, probably shouldn't dox you.
You shouldn't, yeah.
But yeah, there are some in the area.
That's good. More importantly, there's you.
I guess. Niall and I are pretty much
neighbors. Yeah, which is just going to increase the chaos of everything, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like the possibility to record in person more is going to go up. And I think those are...
Now, the thing is, the downside is, during the summer, easier for one of us to dip up to the other person's place. However, hotter in the closet.
Hotter in the closet. Yeah.
So, pros and cons.
We'll figure it out. Should we do a question? Or
I guess we should.
okay, I guess. I'm not saying that I'm done talking about Tony Pizza.
No.
I'm just saying maybe
What's his house made out of?
it's a pizza box.
Yeah?
It's a
It's
big
not an
cardboard
oven?
pizza box. No, it can't be an oven, man.
It doesn't have to be on. Maybe it's like just gently, like, keeping
Okay.
his cheese gooey.
It's like a stone. One of those
Yeah,
stone
like the
pizza
dome
ovens.
kind of like, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Pizza
yeah,
box, not that much room. Dome oven with just a little,
When he was in college, he lived in a pizza box.
Yeah,
Now
for
that he's-
sure.
now that he's-
flat. Because they're flat.
His flat. I get it. That's a joke.
It was, and a good one.
It was a good one.
Do you think they love or hate delivery drivers? Or delivery drivers like their Ubers?
Yeah, if they got to get somewhere,
What if delivery drivers just snatch them? And that's a constant threat they have to deal with.
the Uber delivery drivers are like their mortal enemy.
Yeah. They're like, have you ever read or watched The Golden Compass? Northern Lights,
Yes.
whatever you guys call it over, yeah. And the way there's the people that steal kids. It's just, I forget what they're called in the thing, but it's these. It's like
Yes.
kidnapping rings, yeah. That's
Yeah.
the delivery driver for these guys.
I watched the first season of Golden Compass or whatever,
Mhm.
his terrible magistry or whatever, his terrible
Those dark
desires.
materials.
And I watched the first season of it. And could I also watch the movie? Could I tell you anything about that show other than there's a little ferret that's pretty cute? Or I think it's a ferret. They all have all the kids have
changes form.
oh, does it?
It's their whole thing is that they change form up until you hit puberty, and then it becomes one form.
Ah.
Yeah.
But yes. And then I remember at one point in time, I think the bad lady smushes one of the pets because I think that also kills the person.
Yeah, there's a link, or I think
Yeah.
you can survive it, but you'll pretty much die of sadness afterwards.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I read them; they're very good. The second one was it was a romance, and it really got me as a kid. I was like, this is what it should be like. But in the third book, the guy does stab God, so that's cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole thing is allegory for religion. Maybe I should keep watching it because the show was good, but
I
okay.
haven't seen the show.
We're
Yeah,
off
let's
topic.
not get distracted. So Tony Pizza.
Let's do this one because I teased it last episode, but we ran out of time for some reason. I'm not sure why. This is from New Recipe. Did I do a wrong thing? Am I a bad person? I feel ashamed even to write about this. I try to be the best partner I can. We have a 5-year perfect relationship with my girlfriend. I have always had a panty fetish. I like to sniff worn panties, my girlfriend's. I know it sounds weird, but trust me, I am no weirdo, nor pervert. I do not consider it pervert, at least. It is just my kink, and my girlfriend knows. My girlfriend went on a business trip with her colleague. Her colleague left her bag in our house. It was open, and I saw panties.
No.
I took them and masturbated. They were not used. They smelled freshly out of washing machine. I have never masturbated to any other panties than my girlfriend. I did not consider it weird at first. Then I thought it might have been a bad decision. I feel bad towards my girlfriend. I would never cheat on her. I do not want to hurt her in any way. I will never do it again, and I found out I feel bad about it afterwards. But I cannot take it back. Is this considered cheating? Did I do a bad thing?
Did you do a bad thing? Yes. That's gross. You took someone's shit without their permission, which is theft. You used it sexually, which is gross because they didn't consent. None of it's good.
It's weird that at no point in time does he feel bad for the woman he
Yes.
Like-
yes.
and her
Violated?
belongings that he violated. Yeah, I think that's the right word. I don't think assaulted or abused is the right word, but I think violated is absolutely the correct word.
Yes. I think it's a gross invasion of privacy to
Oh yeah.
go through their bag. I doubt there was just panties hanging out. And even if they were, it's if you just took them out and scoped them, I think that alone would be weird and violation, right?
Yeah.
It's their shit. Leave it alone. But you took it and then you fucking had a wank to it. It's not cool, dude.
Yeah, outside of and I think this is the important thing. You can't be oh, it's not a perversion. It's just my kink. But it doesn't seem like you have any control over it.
Yeah.
Right? It seems more like an impulse or a what's the word I'm looking for? But
Urge.
yeah, you're doing this almost like you deserve it, or it's yours to take. And that, I think, is like a pretty clear and common factor of someone having a problem. Whereas, like,
also, you're like, damn, afterwards, I realized maybe it wasn't a good thing to do. It's like, if you didn't know, that's weird. And if you did know, don't lie to us now and pretend that, like, you were like, oh, weird. I kind of only realized after I stole their belongings and hid away and fucking jerked it to it that maybe it was a bad thing. Like, come on, you knew.
But he's saying that he's not even acknowledging what I consider the real problem, right? Like, he's saying, I feel bad because I cheated on my girlfriend because I used another woman's panties, right? Like, he's not like, oh, shit, I crossed the line. I shouldn't have taken this woman's underwear. Like, he's not saying any of that.
The red flags here are huge. There's either you didn't know it was a bad thing or you're lying about not knowing it was a bad thing. And either one, it's like, is bad, right? If you knew it was a bad thing and you did it anyway, fucking just fess up at this point. If you didn't know, where the fuck are your morals? What do you think about life going through a daily basis? You know what I mean? 2, Dane makes a really good point. At no point are you like, yeah, I did a fucked up thing to this person. And 3, you're still also kind of being like, is it a bad thing?
Yeah, you crossed so many lines and you're only focusing on one. And I would say, like, arguably the least important of the line. Not to say that it's not important. It's still up there because, like, yes, taking another woman's garments or including another person in your kink without their consent is, some levels, a betrayal of trust on your partner's behalf as well. So I think you definitely need to stop and reevaluate and be like, hey, what is it about these things? Like, why do I like it? Is it the act of taking something that doesn't belong to you? Because that seems to be what it is. So there's a difference between a kink and a crime. And what you've done is crime.
Yeah. It's not cool. And you can't, like, we all say, like, oh, don't yuck anyone's yums, don't kink shame. That doesn't mean you can express your kink however you like without repercussion. That's not what that means. So
no,
don't hide behind, like, oh, like, it's not perverted. It's not bad. It's just a kink. It's like, yeah, dude, you can't just go around carte blanche throwing your kink in people's faces.
Yeah, that's like saying, like, oh, I love masturbating in public, or I love having public sex. And then doing it in front of people and being like, it's not perverted. It's not like, it's a kink. Yeah, it's my kink. That's not how it works. Everyone involved in a sexual activity needs to give consent. And if they don't give consent, then you're crossing a line that is pretty firm line in the sand that you have ignored. So 1, taking someone's belongings and using them as in a sexual act is absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely. Yeah. Even if they never find out about it, it does not matter.
It doesn't matter. You still fucking did some shit.
Now, let's talk about the girlfriend aspect of things. Should you tell her? I would say so, because I think you're going to get a hard dose of reality of how upset she is.
She's going to dump you. Like, that's such a fucked up betrayal of trust for her and for her friend that, like, because
it sets precedent, right? She's going to be so nervous, like, if she ever has friends over, or if she ever goes on a girls' trip, or if
you're ever in someone else's home with her.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's like every time you go over to a friend's house and you're like, I'm going to go to the bathroom, she's going to be like,
she's
cool.
Going to be like,
I hope you don't have any panties lying around. Like, is there a hamper in the fucking bathroom? Yeah. Are you going to rummage around through that? Like, and also, is that something you would do? And if the answer is yes, then you have a fucking problem, my dude.
Yeah. So you need to tell her because you betrayed her trust and her friends. You need to not do this again.
I think it's a big thing that you need to stop and be like, hey, it's one thing to have the permission of my girlfriend to sniff her panties and masturbate. That is fine. You can do, we're not yucking that.
Entirely different thing to what you did, which was introducing someone without their consent, stealing from them, violating their trust, everything.
Yeah. So it's like, Niall and I aren't yucking your yum there. Do whatever the fuck you want with your partner, as long as they're aware and consenting and have given you permission. Do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Sniff feet, lick armpits. I don't give a shit. But you need to then be like, hey, this doesn't translate to carte blanche to do anywhere else. And if you do think that, or if you think, oh, if I come across another like pair of panties in the wild, I'm gonna have to fucking give them a sniff or something, then you need to, I would say, seek professional help to discuss what this impulse is and how to control it, because it is an unacceptable thing to do to other people.
Yeah. And in the meantime, think like, what would Tony Pizza do?
What would Tony Pizza do?
And you know what he would do in this case? He'd be disappointed in you.
He would look at you in his recliner. He would put his newspaper, he'd fold his newspaper, put it over his leg, and just shake his head slightly.
He'd give you the smack he usually reserves for children who deserve it. Just 5 across the eyes.
He just takes his like sloppiest pepperoni off his chest and just
sloppy. The oldest one too. The one that's like, maybe you eat it, maybe you don't get off the toilet for 2 days.
It's the one that has like, it's curled up because the edges have like burnt, and the grease is pooled in the center, and he just right across the fucking face with it. And look, I don't think violence is the answer almost ever.
No.
But
I also
sometimes
don't understand how pizzas do things. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to speak for that.
we don't know how pizzas do things. If we knew the magic that brought Tony Pizza to life, I think we would be in a Jurassic Park situation, right? I think
this would be killing us. We'd have.
Well, I think we would end up opening like a food court, and we would bring all the foods to life. So you'd have like your soft serve, and you'd have your fucking like burgers and your fries and your cinnamon buns. And then we've seen what happens. We cross a line. We start breeding things.
We start sniffing panties.
Yeah. We're sniffing the panties of genetic food. Genetically modified sentient food.
Something just fell. I don't know. I think there's a ghost in here. Or the spirit of Tony Pizza is like, yes, continue.
Yes.
Or stop. I don't know. Maybe we're getting too close to the truth. Just in case.
Too close.
Let's go to the next question. This is by Kelvin Need, 1995. Booked a $500 flight to New York City to see a girl. She rejected my whole day plan after 30-minute lunch. Like title says, booked a $500 flight to New York City to meet a girl I talked to for 1 month. In text, she was kind and funny. I thought we had connection. Our plan was to meet up and have lunch, and then the library to explore and get to know each other. I gave her a hug on first meeting. We had good lunch, but very short. About 30 minutes, and she said her parents texted her and told her to meet with them. I was genuinely shocked. My stomach was sinking. Felt like there was a rock in my stomach. I couldn't think for a moment. After a 10-second silence, I found myself conscious again and told her, it's okay. You should go if needed. In my mind, I knew I will never see her again. I text her after I go to a hotel saying, I had a great time with you. It seems like you are not that interested. Hope you find the right one. She replied, thank you for putting in all your effort. I didn't really feel a connection between us. I wish you the best. It was very painful. I was in the city all by myself for 3 days, not knowing anyone. I tried to talk to people, so I went to the Hudson River. Did start a conversation, which helped a lot. I want to let you guys know dating is hard. I'm a 28-year-old male putting in maximum effort. I don't have any bad intentions. Really a family person.
That's the question, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. One, being alone in New York City is not the worst thing. I will say, unless your whole thing is to find the woman you're going to marry and start a family with. Like, yes, I think you're going to have a bad time. But the city is incredible. There's world-class museums, world-class music, world-class theater. Like, there's so much. The food, the beer. There's so much you can do in New York City. If I had 3 days, if someone was just like, hey, you have no plans, no one you need to like appease or like do anything with, you can just explore New York City for 3 fucking days. And presumably you've got some cash to spend if you're flying out and renting a hotel.
I hope so.
Yeah. Right. So
that's a whole other issue.
I'm assuming you've got a little bit of pocket cash, or if you're renting a hotel for 3 days and flying out, like go enjoy the fucking city. Now, I think we need to get to the crux of the question is like, Niall, just like, why would you ever spend this much money on a first date?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, I will say, to add a little context in the comments, I tried to get her to video chat with me first, but she refused.
Good. Next step is definitely buy a plane ticket.
Yeah. Don't do this.
I would love to know where they went for lunch, because I think that's also...
I hope it was Denny's or something.
It was like a Sapporo or something. Like, that's what I get the vibe of. It was probably like a semi-fast food, like maybe slightly upscale, like they bring the food to you, but you still order at the counter kind of situation. And I'm not here to say that's shitty or anything, but that's probably I'm assuming it wasn't a sit-down restaurant.
Or maybe it is. Maybe that was it. It was like way too fancy.
Hey, the man fucking flew out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, don't do this.
You need to know the difference between maximum effort, as he put it, and realistic expectations. It's great that you're willing to put in effort, but there is such a thing in dating, I believe, as too much effort. I think you can go too far in trying too hard.
Sure. And like in two different ways. One in a way that's very detrimental to yourself, like this, and another in a way that's very detrimental to your relationship, which also might have been the case here. Like, I would love to know how this conversation went. Were you just like, I'm going to come to New York tomorrow and see you? And she was like, yay. Or did you like speak for, weeks and you're like, oh, I'm going to come? And like, was it more of a two-sided plan or did you just kind of spring this on them?
Yeah,
or spring this on them. They might have come out of like politeness or fear or obligation. And then like 30 minutes have to leave. Either you beefed it immediately when you got there or she was scared.
Yeah. Or was it like, did you hide it and we're just like, hey, I'm going to be in New York today. Like, you around? That kind of situation? Like,
yeah, did you try to be casual? In which case, she probably was like, oh, yeah, no, he's already in the city. I can just pop in and see how it goes. Oh, it didn't go well. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, why are you in town? And you were like, oh, business things.
Either way, spending, I would say, probably like at least $1,000. If the flight was $500, 3 days in a hotel in New York, you're not,
let alone food and activities.
Yeah, well, this guy went to the Hudson River as his big stop. So you've got to look at things and be like, is this commitment financially worth it? There have been times where I've looked at like text chains of people I've matched with on various dating apps or whatever. And I was like, you're hot. And that's really all you got going for you. And maybe at the time, all I'm looking for is someone attractive to hook up with. But like, you scroll through and you're like, is it worth going and spending, $50 to $100 on drinks and an evening when I'm a busy person on this date where really the only thing I'm sort of vibing with is your physical appearance? Or is it better to like just stay home and play Helldivers with the boys, right? And
that is always the real answer is always Helldivers.
I mean, towards the end,
you could have done Helldivers for 3 days instead of gone to America. And you know what that would have cost you? Nothing. You know what that would have given you? So much fun.
You know what? You could have
democracy.
You could have spent $1,000 on super credits.
You could
and fixed our server issues. And you could have been the most kitted out boy. You could have just had everything.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you definitely, I think, misread the situation, or you let your hopeless romantic side of you think that you were going to have this whirlwind, amazing weekend in New York City instead of being like, hey, is this a smart thing? Maybe I should talk to her more. Maybe I should wait to see if she's willing to commit to a video call before I fly out and spend $1,000 on a week. Yeah. That makes no sense. Like,
the best thing being, he was there for 3 days, which obviously he was like all 3 days with this person. And then she bailed and he was like, I guess I go to the river.
Yeah. We're going to New York in June or something in the summer. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to go to New York again.
I love it.
And granted, Niall and I do New York correctly in the sense that pretty much every time we've gotten very, very drunk. The last time was the worst though. That first time where we did like 17 bars on a bar crawl, we were okay the next day. Like, we were.
It's weird that we were fine that time, but then the last time we went, I don't even think I guess that the bottomless mimosas probably gave us a really bad starting off point because we were pretty smashed.
We built the house on a swamp. Let's face it.
Yes, we kind of set a fire, but then put floorboards over the fire and forgot about it.
Yeah. Fucking
we house swapped with Tony Pizza, and we were in an oven that was getting hotter by the day. But it was like lobsters where they don't notice if you turn it boiling until they're dead.
Yeah. And we died. We did die. For almost an entire day. I would like to not do that this time.
Yeah, me too.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes the spirit of the night gets you. And
it's true.
Then you're getting yelled at for wearing a blazer in Brooklyn.
You're a lot better at doing it than me, so.
I would argue I did a very bad job last time.
You did. It's rare, though.
Yeah. I was way worse off than you were.
Yeah. Another question?
Yeah, let's do another question.
You want one, or you got one?
Oh, yeah, it's my turn. Yeah, I got one. Doop. Carrot Cake from Me asks, boyfriend, 25-year-old male, started masturbating in the middle of me, 28-year-old female, giving him oral. For context, my boyfriend and I haven't been together for long, just a little shy of 3 months so far. So the other day, we're in the middle of having sex. This is probably our third time the same night. So I was already pretty exhausted from the previous rounds and having to do most of the work, or being on the road for most of the day for work. As I'm giving him head, it's going on for about 5 minutes at this point, and he's directing my hand on the motion speed he wants it to go. No big deal. The problem came when I stopped for not even 5 seconds to tie my hair up, put my hand back on his dick, when he just reaches for it himself and literally just finishes himself off. As he's doing it, I'm literally just sitting there being like, wow, this is really happening. And I'm confused at the same time because now I'm wondering, is my head game bad? Was I that bad at completing the job that he had to finish himself? So I'm asking, is this a normal thing for guys to do? Because this has never happened to me before. Am I overthinking it? For more context, those previous 2 rounds before, I did give him head as well. Whenever we have sex, he always is wanting head from me. So I don't know what I did wrong this time, that he would have to finish himself off.
I wish we had slightly more context, because it sounds like she stopped and was reaching back, and then he just like start jerking it and like finished. And I'm wondering if he was just like, he finally reached that cusp and she stopped and he was like, because there's nothing worse than just like no one giving it attention while you come, right? So if he was just like, he reached that point and he started coming and he was like, well, if she's busy, I'll just get those last few, in. That makes sense to me.
Also,
if it was like she reached back and he started jerking it and then she like went back and he was like, no. And then like 10 minutes later he came, that would be a different story.
it seems like it happened fairly quickly. The way
Right,
I'm reading it is...
I'm assuming, that's how I'm assuming is it happened, is that he got to that point where like he was done and it's like, he's not just going to sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to come and it's not going to be as good because no one's touching it right now.
Also, this is your third time.
Yes.
This is the third time that night. And look, I'll say right now, no one knows our bodies better than us. No one knows our dick better than us. And sometimes, no matter how... I've been in positions where like someone's been trying to, finish me off because like it's not going to happen through sex just because of how tired and drained I am. And someone's been has been either giving me a hand job or a blow job, usually both. And it feels so fucking good. But I've just got that wall of just being like,
Yes.
I just can't get through this fucking wall. And it's like, it feels so good. And like, you want to come, but like, you can't.
And
like,
sometimes the wanting to come makes it harder to as well,
100%.
And then you start to feel bad for them. And then it's just like, you kind of spiral. Whereas like, you might need just this really specific thing that like, you might not even know what it is. But when you get your hand on it, and you could just crank it, finish. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just know the key to unlock this door. And the door is there because you're tired and you've gone so many times.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And also, it's really frustrating to be like, oh, he wants head from me all the time. We already had sex twice. And like, you're throwing those 2 times away and focusing on the one.
Yeah. I think after like round 1, I think we need to get real fucking chill at whatever we got to do to come. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I think like the first time,
And hey, even
the
then,
standards,
still be chill with your partner, but
100%. But it's like round 1, we should kind of expect that the classics are going to do the job. They might not. There's any reason why they don't, but it's not an unreasonable expectation to be like, I know the things that he likes and he knows the things that I like and they should work. Yeah. After that, you have no idea someone's like, there are times where we could go again. And there are other times where I'm just like, that took every ounce out of me. And I might be able to go for a second round. Yeah.
It's going to be more of a hike than a nice journey. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Or
it's
like,
going to be...
sometimes I'm ready to go. I would have bet you money it's going to be great. And then like 5 minutes in, I'm like, no, it was a false start, Like, I'm there, but I'm not in finish town.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I think once you're getting into multiple rounds, you need to come to terms with the likelihood of men specifically finishing drastically reduces. It goes down every time. We are finite resources, especially if you're not taking time to like rehydrate in between and take a break. And if you're going like multiple times in the span of a few hours or an hour, depending on how long you last, like it's going to get more difficult.
Expect more times where he takes way longer. Expect more times where he doesn't get hard. Expect more times where he doesn't finish at all.
And expect, in this case, more times where he needs a very specific thing to get there.
Yeah.
And it might be dirty talk. It might be a very specific position. It might be a very specific whatever. It might mean like
speed or firmness. It might be like, oh, go really hard or go really, I don't know, tease me, do whatever. It might be specific, but that's the point. It is specific because you're in uncharted waters now. You're in the gray areas, right?
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything wrong here. I understand that it could be a blow to your ego at first. If this is the first time he's done it, I get it. If I was switching positions and a woman just was like, she just sort of abandoned on like, if we were doing missionary and we were about to go with doggy and she was just like, no, I'm just going to finish myself here. I'd be like, okay. But at the same time, I want my partner to come. So if that's what she needs, fucking go for it. It's fine. Especially in round 3. If she finished herself off and was just like, I'm good, I'd be like, thank God. Thank you for this mercy.
Yeah. And one, I feel like women really don't understand men's bodies. We see that all the time. You know what I mean? Between boners, getting them, not getting them, coming, not coming. It really makes me sad because obviously men don't do a great job with women's bodies or else the orgasm gap wouldn't exist. But I do feel like there is more kind of like knowledge floating around that you might casually find about women's bodies than there are about men's. We're like, when the fuck do people talk about this?
Yeah, because it's
just us. We're the only people in the world who've ever talked about this.
It's true.
And Tony Pizza, because he's a big advocate for sexual health and
sexual parodying. Yeah.
So that stressed me out. But also, you don't even need to know this when that night alone, you had a problem 1 time out of 3. So the majority of times were fine. And I'm assuming this doesn't happen all the time because you didn't mention it. So I want people to stop taking one thing that happened once and being like, that's everything. And instead look at like, oh, the last 100 times we fucked were great. So this one time something went differently. I can have the grace to let my partner do that and only get upset about it if it becomes a regular thing. I might get upset. I mean, have a conversation with them that's respectful and chill.
And remember, my whole motto this year, ask for reassurance. Just afterwards, just talk about it. That's how you, none of us, no matter how much experience we have, no matter how much context we have, none of us can give you the answer that your partner can give you. Because they know. They did it. And chances are, I guarantee you, I was really fucking close. I was hitting a wall. It was like painful to not finish. And I just needed to get myself over the hump. You did all of the work. I just sort of pushed the car down the hill. You did a great job. You got it up there. Thank you. It was great. I just needed a little something, something. And it's the same way. It's even
they were literally coming and they just needed a hand on their dick while it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you had leaned away at just the bad time. But I'm sure in his head, he doesn't even notice anything happened this moment that upset you.
I've been with partners who I can tell, they'll play with themselves for a split second and then will stop because I can tell that they have been previously reprimanded and I love just taking their hand and putting it back and just being go for it. Do what you got to do. I'm not going to tell, it makes no sense to me to be hey, don't make this feel as good as it can for you.
Yeah.
That to me makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense to be having sex with someone and be whoa, hold on. Is that going to make you feel good? Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
What? People getting upset with women playing with themselves while being fucked. I cannot understand the crippling amounts of insecurity and how, what you had to go through to get there. That
and the
woman is so turned on that she playing with herself. Because imagine if you could jerk off while also having sex. Would you not do that? Jerking off is great. Why wouldn't you combine the two?
And the thing is, it's one, the people in this scenario are so insecure, but then they're making the act so much harder for themselves. So terrible job there. But two, it's we all want 4 to 5 arms so we could do everything. And if they're playing with themselves, guess what? That frees up an arm.
It's an arm. You now have 2 hands for tits.
2 hands for tits or ass or a combination of the two. You can go ham. It's great.
You can choke. You got hair pulling. Oh,
you can get in a better position for yourself where you now have at least 1 arm to stabilize yourself. It's a dream come true. Shake it up. Have fun. What are you doing?
Yeah. So just relax. When it comes to your partner's pleasure, they probably know what to do better than you. That's not to say you don't please them. That's not to say you aren't their preferred like means of pleasure. But you do have to sort of defer every now and then. Like if someone does something that makes them come, it's probably what they needed at the moment. And that doesn't mean that you weren't a huge part of getting them to that moment. And two, that their inclusion of whatever this is, whether it's manual stimulation or whatever, isn't or is meant to replace you.
Yes.
Like those aren't universal facts. It's just they needed a thing. They did a thing. They got the intended result. And I understand it can be a bruise to the ego. That's why you ask for reassurance from your partner about things that hurt you. Because otherwise you're going to get so fucking weird about this. You're going to like spiral. You're probably going to get bad advice on the internet. And then you're going to internalize this to the point where it's going to be a problem in relationships for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So, and also, like we said earlier, have more grace, like always have grace, but have more when it's round 3. Have more if this is a one-off. You know what I mean? Like, you're making life so much more difficult for yourself for no fucking reason.
Yes.
I think we should move on to our profile review segment.
Yes, we should.
We go through online dating profiles, we scan them for red flags, sometimes for green flags, in an effort to make your online dating experience a little bit more enjoyable and successful. I got a few. I can just blast them at you because they're kind of themed.
Okay.
These are prompts and people definitely understanding and utilizing the prompt correctly. First prompt. These are all different profiles. I bet you can't is the prompt. The response, I can do anything once I focus and put my mind to it.
Yeah.
I like how it seems like they got offended. Like it says, I bet you can. They're like, I can.
Yeah, I think this is a great prompt because I think it shows that they're, one, incredibly insecure, and two, so focused on themselves that they missed that the prompt was meant for the person looking at the profile and not for them. Right?
Yeah, I think like this is a huge red flag, honestly.
Yeah, I think like you saw you and you didn't frame it as like, oh, this is my profile. I'm trying to, people will be reading this. You thought, oh, you're talking about me.
I can do it.
I think that is I think that's a huge red flag.
Yeah, I would give that a 1 out of 10 because that would be a gigantic turnoff for me. The next prompt. What if I told you that? The response, huh?
Once again, I bet they thought, like, what if I told you that?
What do you mean, app?
Yeah,
what are you telling me?
I think they mean, like, what if I told you, that? Like, that is what is being told to them.
Yeah. And they're like, huh?
Just don't get it.
Have you seen the, like, old person trying to do text to speak? And then they're doing it, but then at one point, they're speaking, and then I guess there's a slight delay, and then something they said, like a second or two ago pops up, and then they answer that, but then it's still putting everything they say, so then they end up in this loop, and it's like, they start reading, like, wait, it's saying this, and then they keep going, and it's just like this. That's kind of what I feel like this is.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 3 out of 10, because there's a possibility it's funny, and it's still not as egregious as the first one.
Yeah.
This prompt, change my mind about. The response, nothing.
Great. I love a partner who's not willing to budge or learn.
Yeah. Also, just like, hey, this is the anti-chat. Like, don't change my mind. Don't talk about anything. This one? No. Why'd you pick that prompt?
My favorite is there are so many prompts to pick from, and people will actively choose, and I saw this all the time, people actively choose one that they don't want to answer. Okay.
Are you ready for the next one? I'm convinced that I don't want to answer this prompt.
Love it.
But you did, and you didn't have to.
I also wonder how many people realize that they can change the prompts, because I think the apps tend to just autofill.
Like give you a few just to
just randomly pick the ones that you need, and then but you can change them, and I love that you don't want to.
And the last one here. Right now I am reading, and the response, I'm not reading. Let's be honest.
At least this one I think is the best out of all of them. Because it's like, there's a bit of a joke there. At least there's a bit of
But they don't read, so that's a red flag for me.
For you, sure. I don't read either.
Yeah.
It's bad to go silent on a podcast.
It is. Yeah, but Tony Pizza was also shaking his head, and I didn't want to get in the way. I think my favorite is, huh? Because I want to live in a world where that is a joke. Let's not, because we all know it isn't, but
Yeah.
I want to. I want to live in that. Thank you, everybody. Again, I said at the start of the episode, you are the creme de la creme. You are the Tony Pizzas among us because you support us, and you're here, and we fucking love you. So thank you.
Thank you very much for listening and supporting. We have a live show coming up on March 7th. I don't know when this comes out. I don't remember. But if it's before the 7th and you can make it to Black Sheep in Toronto, come out. I think that's it.
I got a little bad sex writing. I'm going to ride us out with that. Thank you, Josh Egan, Harvest Cities, for their song Paper Stars. I'm going to hit you with this. This has been sent in to us by Agent Frogbox. Okay, she whispers. How does it feel? I ask. She shifts her weight, moving her ass side to side. Like I have a big poo in my ass.
Nice.
So hot.
I hate having a big poo in my ass. Like when I have to poop, it's just in my ass.
Yeah.
And that's how bodies work.
That is how bodies work.
My name is Dave Miller.
And I'm Niall Spain.
We've been your fuck buddies. Pillow
Pillow Talk.
Whatever it is. I don't know what we do here.